Each day is a new day.
Hi guys, I'm Emmylou. Y'all know me as Emmylou Green, and I'm married now. That's why I told you I'm green to spellings. But I'm not a good speaker up in front of people. I do it good one-on-one. Y'all know me back in the dorms and in class. I'm really good at talking, but nervous as heck to be up in front of y'all. First, I want to say thank y'all for listening to me. Thank you for having us and welcoming us here. Thank you to all the mentors. I've told y'all, as Jamie did many times, that I don't understand why you all come and do what you do for us. When I say us, I've been you all. I've been here where the world thinks you're not worthy. Your society's trash, and you feel like you don't deserve anything, and some people, they treat you like it. So thank you all. And I know from personal experience, when I'd go back to my dorm and wonder why you all came here, why would you come for a person like me, that God told me it was because of him, to show me him. And it made sense after that. So, and I did write mine down so that I wouldn't run off in left field. And it looks like a lot of paper, but it'll be really quick. And that way I get to the point. Okay. I was arrested when I was 27. I'd never been in trouble at all in my whole life. I won't lie and say that I was a good girl, because at 11 I smoked pot for the first time. By 12 had done acid, cocaine, Valiums, drank a whole lot, just did it, I guess, behind enough closed doors I didn't get caught. I used to say that I was a fence straddler, but you'll hear that. So I was arrested when I was 27. I'm now 33. From the age of 8 or so, I believed there was a God. I just never knew how to have a personal relationship with him. I lived what the world called both sides of life, a fence straddler. For many years, I was influenced by the lifestyle I was raised around. By 12, I was lying, stealing, having sex, used drugs, and disobeyed all authority. The whole time, I always felt miserable. You know how you feel if you've done something wrong? You go lay down at night and you can't sleep. And even during the day out here in the yard, and you know you're coming to Rubies and you're trying to do right, and you go out there and you mess up, and you're like, man, don't kick yourself. Too bad. Kick yourself some, but not too bad. But the whole time I always felt miserable. I knew something was missing. Everything changed when I met my children's father. I would calm down a little bit, but continued to use drugs during a 10-year period of our relationship. I would have our 3 children staying drug-free for the majority of the pregnancies, slowing my drug use after their births, and trying to be a good mother. We had a pretty good life. Me and myself and the children didn't want for much. At 22, I decided that my life wasn't what it should be for some reason, and thought the grass was greener on the other side. I divorced my children's father, moved in with my parents, 3 children, and began to struggle. A single mom, alone, scared, with no job, no money, no place of my own. I turned to the first man that showed me attention and had money in his pocket. The relationship soon self-destructed, though. It was built on lies, pride, money, sex, my drug use. He wasn't a drug user, but he drank, and alcohol. To fill the painful hole inside me that money couldn't, I used drugs. Because he had a lot of money and it still didn't fill the hole, so I used drugs. During that time, I had my 4th child. I would compare my life as a child, my life with my 3 children's first father, and the one I was with, and I would justify things. What was better, what wasn't, you know how you do that? Oh, I'm doing better here and better there. I did that a lot. During the relationship, he was really obsessive and possessive and everything, and I hid my drug use from him. In 2004, my children were in a car wreck. They were hit by a man driving a rent-a-car. It was Enterprise. They were injured real bad. I had full custody of them. They were with their dad for the weekend because we were divorced. We went through getting them better, getting them out of the hospital. My oldest son's kneecap was ripped off, and we did, psychologists and things like that. During the summer, the next summer, 2 summers later, because that's when we got the money, 2006, my children went to Florida with their dad for a week. I went out with friends partying. This was at the time that Jamie's story was in the news in my hometown. Hers had happened a little bit earlier than mine, I think March and April and May. So she had been locked up, and it was all over our news, and everybody's watching and had their opinions about it. During May of that summer, my kids, they went to Florida with their dad. I wound up out partying with some friends, and what was just supposed to be an innocent night of having fun turned into me using crack cocaine for the first time ever. That one night turned into 3 days, and that turned into 2 months, and I spent $57,000 of my children's money on crack cocaine with 8 so-called friends. When I finally came home, it was because one night in a hotel room, I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I said, God, I know I'm in there, but I don't know who I am anymore. And I got arrested 4 days later. Yeah, so they had been investigating that I was spending my kids' money on drugs, and they couldn't prove it, but they could charge me with theft by failure to make a required disposition, which meant theft by failure to account for how I spent my own children's money. I couldn't prove I didn't spend it on drugs. They couldn't prove I did. I couldn't prove anything, so they could charge me with this crime, So anyways, I wound up with 30 years total because I had 6 counts, got 5 years on every count. You all know about concurrent and consecutive. They ran 5 of them concurrent over here and 5 over here and hit me with 10. They ran them consecutively against each other. I got 10 years. I was sentenced to that. I went to the penitentiary. I ended up at Pee Wee Valley that same year, or the next year. And 6 days after I got there, my dad died. I went to his funeral in Shackles. And a couple days later after that, I got shipped to Otter Creek. Miss Pearlie and a lot of them know me from there, from '07. And I stayed there 6 months, and after a whole total year of that 10-year sentence, I got shock probation. And I went home on shock, and I did good for the first couple months, but I went back to the same people, places, and things. My environment didn't change. I was just going to do good in the midst of all this bad that, I'd went away from. Even tried going to church. I started cleaning the church. A couple months in, being around the same people, if you can't beat them, join them. I ended up back on drugs. March 2008, took off to Florida for 4 months, was on the run because, of course, I was on probation. I wasn't reporting anymore. By June 20th of 2008, I got arrested by the U.S. Marshals down in Florida. They held 9mm to my head. They extradited me back to Kentucky. It took about 14 days to get here, and I was resentenced to my 10 years. I had never cried so much in my life when that happened. I was broken, I was torn, I was a failure and a loser, and utterly lost. I felt I didn't deserve the air that I breathed. I'd hurt everyone. I'd let everyone down. I'd failed to take the last thing I had left, which was my own life, and that made me feel like even more of a failure. I didn't attempt suicide, but I was sitting in a cell for about 3 days, and I seriously thought about it. I thought my kids would be better off without me. I thought, you screwed up, and you told everybody you was going to do good, and I even felt at that. But what stopped me from doing that is like it says here, after weeks and months and hours of crying and pain and anguish and scrabbling to understand, I heard a small voice in my heart. The voice simply said, remember me. You heard me say in the beginning when I was 8 and growing up, I believed in God. I didn't have a personal relationship. And I'd go to church when I was young and take my children on Easter and for Christmas, and I'd get God fixes. I was a fence straddler. I'd do it all my way at home, and I'd go to church on Sunday and praise God and sing, and I'd walk right back out in that big old world and do everything my way. I had ignored this voice for many years, only paying attention on my terms. I tried to find my way in the world and remembered all the times the voice had asked me to come, to just try me. All the times I had turned it down, and after all those times I had failed. Right then, I came to the realization that I would never do anything right or on my own. I knew I would lose my chance at life without this voice on my side, and I knew the voice was Jesus Christ. There in that little cell, I cried out to God for help. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, who died on the cross for me. I had done this before, but like I said, on my terms. I'd like to tell you that right then and there, everything changed, and that everything ran smooth from there on out, but that's not the reality. You all know me. A lot of you lived around me. I had no tools right then. I had no studying, no mentoring, no accountability, no scripture hidden deep in my heart. I needed a heart change. Really, really big time I needed a heart change. I wound up going from my county jail to Shelby County to Grayson County. I was in 3 penitentiaries and 6 county jails during my 5 years and 3 months that I served my 10 out. And I got shipped to Grayson, Breckenridge, Woodford. Finally ended up back at Pee Wee for a 3rd time, and then was shipped here after 30-some days. I got here, I think it was August of 2009 we were talking about. The whole time that we were in, Jamie and I was writing and stayed close. And she came here first, like she said, and she started telling me about this Rubies program. And she was like an advocate for it, telling me about the Celebrate Life and this and that and the other, how great it was. I got here in August, and in October you all had your first Celebrate Life, and I got to come out on this compound yard and watch those kids. And I mean, they didn't keep us in. I don't know if they do that now, but they didn't keep us in, and I was like just wowed. I had to be a part of this. Within a couple of days I was moved to MSU, but they had it out there. And I remember running up to these guys being like, can I just be in here? It wasn't like a new enrollment time when I did this, because I asked y'all, could I just sit in? I said, I don't care if I'm not actually a Ruby. I just want to sit in there and listen. I just want to hear what you all got to say. So they let me, and then the next class rolled around, and I got to be a part of that, and I graduated 18 week and then the year, and I got to join and Celebrate Life out here on the compound in 2011. It was awesome. I told you I have 4 kids. Only 3 of them got to come that day, but it was still awesome. It was amazing. It was not about the shirts. It wasn't about the journals that you all have or any certificate. It was about my children seeing God in me. that something had changed. I went up for parole here in 2011. I got a 2-year flop, a 24-month deferment. I served 2 on my 10. So when I came back, I just had to do that extra year because they count your first year. I got a 2-year deferment. Couldn't believe it happened. Didn't think I was going to make it through it. I made it through that. Went up and seen them again. Got parole upon completion of SAP. I went into SAP. I tried it. Everybody sitting back there that knows me, I tried it. I gave it a heck of a go. Not knocking SAP guys that are in there. You know, give it your all, whatever it takes to get home to your kids. But I refuse to claim that I was an addict when I was in there, because I don't believe once an addict, always an addict, and y'all know how opinions are. I believe that I'm a new creation in Christ. Old things are passed away and all things become new. So I called my family and they told me to come on out of there. I did that. I wound up going back out to MSU. I got in Microsoft. I got in some classes that gave me 90 days off, and like I said, wound up serving my sentence out. It usually takes 6 and 8 to kill a 10. I served it out in 5 and 3. I went home, guys. Jamie was there, my family was there, my kids were there. That was nice. It still wasn't easy. It's not about, I had to apply everything that I'd learned in here. I want to say this, God help me. It's not about just getting out of here. It's not about just seeing your kids. If y'all hear me say anything tonight, it's not about getting home and getting clothes and colors and makeup and jewelry. That's not what this is about. This program or this journey you're on or this course your life is taking, whatever you want to call it, the mistakes you've made. This is about getting real with you and God. This is between you and God. And I'm going to tell you something. You go home, and even when you're in here, people's going to talk about you. They did me. You don't win over everybody. And people's going to talk about you. They're going to throw your past at you. Remember, in the end, you will stand before God. It will be you alone. It will not be your children. It will not be your mother. Keep it real with you and God, and it will show to other people. You won't have to put on a show. You won't have to tell them one thing and go to the yard and do another. You know, I've been there. I've been there where I've been in Rubies and everything's great and I am ready to live it, and I go on that yard and somebody says the wrong thing to me and I will run my mouth. We're women. We do that. You've got to learn obedience. I had to learn. I'm still learning every day. I'm a work in progress. I'll be doing that till I'm 80 years old. But like I said, be accountable, first of all to God, and then to your peers, your other Rubies sisters, your mentors. Be honest. Number one thing I learned in prison was when you're a drug addict, you're such a liar. Be honest with yourself first. Be honest with God. He knows everything. You ain't fooling him. Be honest with everyone. Stand for something. Don't fall for anything. Go against the grain in here. Who cares how many friends you have? I didn't have a lot, and y'all know that. But like I said, when you get home, it's not easy. You know, everything I'd learned, I was applying it. 20 applications for jobs, couldn't get a job. Nobody wants to hire a person right out of prison, has no work history for 5 years. It wasn't so much being a felon that would hang me up, because nowadays when you get home, a lot of job applications will ask you that question, are you a convicted felon? But nowadays there's a lot of applications that won't. They'll say, have you been convicted in the last 5 years? Some say 7 years. My conviction is over 7 years old. So by not checking yes, I'm not lying. It's the work history that'll get you. If you've been here a long amount of time, you ain't got no work history. What are you going to do? And then there comes that not lying. Well, I wasn't lying by not checking that box, but you're lying if you say you've been working and you ain't. You know, you've been in here. You haven't. You can count things in here, but it's really not a work history. But 20 applications, couldn't get a job. It was hard. It was hard at home, fitting back in with my kids, reconnecting with them, and that's what you're learning to do here. It was hard going into public places. Jamie took me to my first store, and I broke down crying, fumbling with my money at the register. It's hard. It is. But if you will stay the course and you will study the Word to show yourself approved, if you will take it to God in prayer, if you will just have that faith, He will put you where I am today. When I was here, God showed me someday I'd come back, and that little voice came, the enemy, and said, you won't come back. No one's going to listen to you if you do. You'll wind up back in here. You'll do all these things, and if you'll stay the course, and like I said, pray, be accountable, be honest. No matter what you do, I'm going to tell you girls something. When your family's here and you're showing them how good you are, that ain't what's important. It's important that you're good when they ain't here. It's important you're doing right when nobody can see it. That's what I learned. It ain't about when people can see you. You can say and do anything in front of people. What you do in the private times when they're not here, and it's just you and these girls on this yard, that's what matters. That's when you're really getting it. When you choose what's right when ain't nobody there to hold you accountable, but you're holding yourself accountable. But anyways, after I've been home 2 years, this September 4th, my son called me at work the other day. It was September 4th, and he said, Mommy, you know you've been home 2 years now. And I was like, wow, this kid's keeping up with it. I've got to be at 2 of the summits with H&R Ministries since being out. My children showed up at the last one. Got to share, guys, something very important, and I have to say this. I know I've ran off in left field, but I have to say this. Those letters that you write, Miss Jenny and Shay and Harold Riley and Jamie can tell you that I had 2 boys, 2 of my sons, set up on a panel the other day and say that they were so important, that it showed them that I loved them and I cared about them. And when I'd send pictures, that they would think to themselves, wow, she really does love me, And they told about how scared they were when I was gone, things I didn't know. They told about, we got to tell about how when they'd get a letter, they'd run in the bedroom and they'd put it on the floor and they'd spread it out and they'd read it like it was me there with them, talking to them. Those letters are important. Those journals are important. When you get home, you can share that with your kids. When you was thinking about them on their birthday and you wasn't there and everything you would have said to them. When you woke up and you knew something was wrong and maybe your kid fell and got a boo-boo, write that stuff down. Write the thoughts you have about their school grades and share it with them when they get home. Because there's going to be so much missing. I felt so out of place when I got home. It was like we were sitting at the kitchen table and they'd be telling a memory and I wasn't there for it. And I felt so far away from them, sitting right at the kitchen table with them. Write it down in your journals. Share it with them. Get home, get in a good Bible-based church, Bible-believing church that preaches Scripture. Like I said, I've been home 2 years. I'm now a team leader at a factory. We bought 15 acres of land 2 years ago. I'm married as of April of this year. I got 3 new stepkids, so I got 7 kids now. Me and my husband recently became youth leaders at our church because we go to a different church. Everything's not a bed of roses. There's trials and tribulations with new couples, new marriages, buying things, building your credit back up. That's all the realities. You learn that stuff in Rubies. You set those 5-year goals and 6-month goals. I've reached my 5-year goals in 2 years with the bank account. I own a vehicle. I'm not rich. I don't have everything I want, but I will tell you God provides everything I need. There are times when my wallet's empty, but my cabinets are full and my belly's full. God is faithful, I'm telling you. Stay the course, stay in the Word. I'm going to probably end there because you all know my story, a lot of you all. I'm happy to see so many faces. Miss Pearlie, I'm so happy to see you. Keep your faith. Guys, you need to talk to somebody, go to Miss Pearlie, go to Nana. They're awesome. But I will tell you all that at nighttime, before I go to bed each night, I pull out my prison Bible. I didn't get rid of it. I wrote so many notes in it. It's on my bedside table, and I read it. Because no matter how I felt, whether it's in word, thought, and action, like my temper, I got a bad temper. I work on it every day. I get angry with myself, and why at 33 I don't have more, you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or I can't give my kids more, but I try to keep the faith. And at nighttime I'll get in the Word. And the other night I laid down in bed and I hadn't even picked up the Bible when God said Isaiah 54. I got it out and I read it, and I didn't understand at first. It's like, okay, what's this mean? The next morning, me and my husband was riding to work, and I said Isaiah 54, and I reached over in the back of the seat, because we keep a Bible in the back of our seat, and I read it again, and I said, it's for the women. It's for you women. So I'm going to read that to you, and I'll end. And again, I just want to say I'm so grateful for y'all just having us here, listening to us. Like I said, if you get anything out of this, just remember this is not just about going home while you're in here. This is about changing. This is about selling out to God in a way you ain't never sold out. This is about letting Him use you right now, about not serving time, but letting time serve you. Just to be able to walk out of here and restart your life, just rebuild your life with your children, your family. It's never going to work without God. You might get home at first, you might have everything. Without God, whether it's in this life or in the next life, everything you do is going to fail. I'm telling you, without God. Those who are lost, accepting, that's the first step. You don't become perfect overnight. I've been doing this now. I got with H&R in 2009, I want to say, and I still mess up, guys. We do, we're human. It's a daily struggle. Just like I said, stay the course. But I'm going to share this with you all. Isaiah 54. If you want to read it when you get back, because I'm too fast, but I'm going to try to go fast. Sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thou seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Listen, guys. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, Neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget the shame of your youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood any more. For thy Maker is thy husband, the Lord of hosts, and the Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The God of the whole earth shall he be called. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, saith God. For a small moment I have forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I did hide my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer. For this is the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth, I have also sworn that I would not be wroth with thee and rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith the Lord, that has mercy on you. Thou afflicted, tossed in tempest, not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay the foundations with sapphires. And I will make thy widows a gates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord. Do you hear that? You're going to go home and teach your kids what you've learned in here. That's what it's about. I went home and laid in the bed with my son. 3 nights after being home, he said, Mom, I feel God more than I've ever felt him. And within 2 weeks was baptized. I cried at that baptism. He come out of there. He said, Mama, why are you crying? I said, because I'm more proud than if you was the President of the United States. You just became a member of a kingdom. That's what I told him. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression, for thou shalt not fear from terror, for it shall not come near. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Behold, I have created the smith, and blowed the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth the instrument for his work. And I have created the waters to destroy. And no weapon that is formed against you will prosper. Do you hear that? Isaiah 54:17. When you go home, remember that, no matter what happens. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants and of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Thanks, guys.